For anyone who's spent a decent amount of time online, you've probably heard of Felix Lengyel, better known as xQc. From pro Overwatch player to full-time streamer, xQc has carved out a niche as one of the biggest streamers and biggest personalities on the internet. While competitive gaming, variety streams, and a little bit of rage make up the bulk of his content, his most recent pursuit has been gambling streams. Gambling streams have become a huge source of controversy, having grown both in popularity and infamy over the past few years. While enjoyers and promoters view it as another form of gaming, critics see it as a gateway to gambling addictions for those who watch. Given the fact most people watching Twitch are young males, the demographic most likely to develop a gambling addiction, such concerns are more valid than not. This brings us back to xQc and his recent penchant for gambling on stream. While xQc may be the biggest gambling streamer and promoter on the net, his advertisement and addiction to online gambling are symptoms of a larger, systemic problem, one we'll explore and address. Like and subscribe. To talk about the recent explosion in online gambling, we first need to look at its history. Online gambling traces its origins to the 90s, when the internet was just becoming mainstream. Realizing the internet represented a massive new market, enterprising and unscrupulous businessmen were quick to establish gambling services on the net. None of this was particularly legit, mind you. The US was not very keen on online gambling, seeing it as a means of skirting the law where it was banned. Fortunately, offshore nations like Antigua and Barbuda and Cyprus were happy to host these online gambling companies. Online slots and poker quickly exploded in popularity, raking in hundreds of millions of dollars by the late 90s. The industry would continue to operate in a legal gray zone for much of the 2000s, but would see major upsets by the 2010s. In April of 2011, the feds launched a crackdown on the three largest online poker businesses in the US, claiming their operations circumvented federal and state laws. This crackdown effectively killed much of online gambling in the US. The big shots were taken out, and the small players mostly backed out of the US. Later that same year, however, the Department of Justice offered a ruling which actually supported online gambling. The strict federal scrutiny of online gambling was based on the 1961 Federal Wire Act, which outlawed sports betting through phones, television, and now the internet. Federal authorities interpreted this law as applying not just to sports betting, but any form of gambling or lottery. However, after New York and Illinois requested clarification on this law, the DOJ actually reversed its reading, saying it only applies to sports betting. After shutting the door on online gambling sites just a few months earlier, this new interpretation invited them back in, and in turn, let online gambling become the juggernaut it is now. To an outside observer, online gambling may seem no different than any other form of gambling. After all, you'll lose money either way. However, the presentation, advertisement, and target audience of online gambling sets it apart and arguably makes it worse than its conventional counterpart. For starters, online casinos target an online audience, which is composed primarily of teenagers and young adults. Coincidentally, the people most likely to develop addictions, be it drugs, alcohol, or gambling, are the youngest members of society. Now, casinos are not your friend. Their singular goal is to have you empty your wallet into their flashy machines, then leave you out to dry. Though they pay lip service to preventing addiction and preventing minors from playing, their entire business model relies on getting people hooked. This dovetails nicely into their practice of targeting the youth with online gambling, getting them addicted, and creating lifelong customers. Of course, these online casinos can't profit off the youth if they can't get them through the door. They have, however, found a very effective means of promoting their services: influencers. Influencer marketing has become one of the most common forms of advertisement over the past decade. You have a respected public figure with a massive audience who can push your product to their unsuspecting fans. Influencer marketing has proven incredibly effective in promoting various products, gambling services included. One of the earliest instances of using influencers to promote gambling comes from 2016. Trevor Martin, owner and operator of the T Martin gaming channel, began to promote a gambling service for CSGO skins called CSGO Lotto. For those unaware, CSGO skins sell in the hundreds, thousands, up to tens of thousands even back then, meaning this was no small gambling service. T Martin said it was a cool site he just randomly stumbled across, and something his viewers should check out. While there are no concrete numbers available for the site, it's safe to assume his underage audience flocked to the service in no small number. It was later uncovered that CSGO Lotto was directly owned and managed by Trevor Martin himself, and that this was little more than a thinly veiled, self-serving promotion. The result was a huge backlash from basically the entire internet, decrying the service and its owners for encouraging underage gambling. In addition, CSGO Lotto and many other skin betting sites were taken down, and an FTC formal complaint was even filed against Trevor Martin's deceptive marketing. Now, in spite of the good that came from exposing these betting sites and their operators, they were undeniably doing well before their negative exposure. This form of gambling promotion, relying heavily on influencers, proved highly effective, and the lessons learned from it would eventually underpin the current iteration of online gambling. While online gambling has seen a general boom over the past few years, and numerous big players have emerged in the industry, none are as prolific, emblematic, or infamous as Stake. To cut a long story short, Stake is about as shady and unscrupulous as they come. Though primarily based in Australia, their official headquarters is this rundown shack in Curacao, essentially a shell address to get the proper gambling licenses in the country. In addition to their suspect choice of HQ, Stake proudly touts their acceptance of crypto for gambling. Cryptocurrency, aside from being a bit shady by default, is useful in skirting regulations in the US, mainly because regulating crypto is borderline impossible. And then you have the actual service itself, along with the rampant marketing done to promote it. Though Stake's gambling offerings are similar to other casinos, the influencer marketing blitz they've utilized has been the key to their success. For years now, Stake has been dumping tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars into influencer promotions, all to show off their lovely service to a young audience. Big streamers like the aforementioned xQc, to public figures like Drake, are all posting about the joys of gambling or putting up streams of them playing slots. These promotions have proven terribly effective, not just by getting the fans of influencers sucked into gambling, but from the promoters themselves putting their million-dollar paychecks back into the system. In short, Stake and other online gambling giants have grown worryingly massive thanks to this wave of promotions largely targeted to minors and the youngest in society. Now, throughout this video I have harped fairly heavily on how online gambling sites target minors and the youth, and that this specific targeting is a major issue. I'm fully aware this is a very think of the children kind of rhetoric, and that it's something many people are sick and tired of hearing. However, in the context of online gambling, I don't think this angle can be ignored. Gambling addictions are utterly ruinous for those who develop them, and the group most likely to develop such an addiction are the youth. Studies have frequently shown that adolescents and young adults are much more likely to become addicts if they engage in addictive activities. Given the fact these demographics are being specifically targeted with influencers and promotions, the risks of them getting addicted are worryingly high. Furthermore, at a young age, your addictions become intertwined with your physical and neurological development, making them harder to kick and thus much more damaging. It's foolish at best and morally devoid at worst to let predatory businesses profit off of inflicting addiction on their clients, and one of the worst forms of addiction at that. Gambling addiction is much more insidious than alcoholism or a drug addiction. Whereas a drunkard or meth addict have fairly obvious symptoms of their addiction, gambling addicts are hit hardest in the wallet, something below the surface. Only once you're completely wiped out or going into debt to feed your gambling addiction do the cracks really start to show. The full depths and total depravity of a gambling addiction are humiliating, devastating, and incredibly difficult to recover from. Most tragically, not everyone is able to recover from this illness, as gambling addicts are frighteningly likely to take their own lives. I don't want the horrors of this addiction to befall anyone, especially those with the highest chance of getting hooked and the most life left to live. But then again, I'm not an online casino. This brings us back to xQc, gambling streams, and his role in the recent boom in online gambling. One could argue xQc has been the best and worst thing to happen for this gross industry. He's still the most popular streamer in all of Twitch, pulling in thousands of viewers daily to watch him lose millions on slots. His sponsorship deal with Stake being shown to his 11.2 million followers has undoubtedly brought this online casino huge returns. With that being said, the heavy cost of a gambling addiction often befalls these influencers. Just as xQc promotes Stake on his streams, so too is his severe, degenerate gambling addiction on full display. This sick addiction is something xQc even admits to, as in his own words.
Okay, so I shouldn't gamble. I still do it. Is that good? No, that's terrible. That's illness. That's illness. That's ill. I'm ill. Okay, I'm ill. But you know what? I can afford to be ill. I'm lucky. I'm lucky. I can afford to be ill. Okay.
His final comment may sour the broader message, but I think it just goes to show how all-encompassing and destructive addiction can be. xQc's recent self-immolation serves as a strong warning for those who wish to dabble in gambling, and also isn't the best PR for these gambling sites either. He is as much an advertisement for gambling as he is a clear sign to avoid the vice. Though it's frustrating he supported online gambling in the first place, I do genuinely hope xQc and anyone else like him can find some relief from the illness they so suffer from. To that end, there is a growing concern for many around the negative effects of online gambling and gambling streams. Other large Twitch streamers have begun voicing their distaste with gambling content, and Twitch itself actually plans to ban gambling streams next month. Outside of Twitch, research and reports are beginning to analyze the effects of this online gambling boom, and unsurprisingly, they don't paint a pretty picture. As stated earlier in this video, gambling is a harmful, destructive vice. If Twitch is any indication, I'm hopeful that we can stave off the normalization of gambling, treat it as the vice it really is, and limit the negative effects of this unscrupulous industry. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it and want to learn more about the recent explosion in gambling, consider checking out this short vid I did on sports betting. Spoilers, sports betting is bad. Going from one vid of mine to another also helps a whole lot in the algorithm, which at my, modest size, means a whole lot. With that, high five the like, hold hands with the subscribe button, and that bell. Until next time, take care.